One of my favorite places in all the world is Covington Nursery and Landscape in Rowlett, and I've been right here many times walking through, picking up plants. Lots of times there are hollies around me here. Joe, you must have sold out of hollies.
No, not hardly.
Maybe I'm looking in the wrong spot. Okay, that's good to hear. We're going to talk about responsible landscaping. Joe Covington, owner and founder of Covington Nursery and Landscape. How do we begin? What's the starting point for responsible landscaping?
Well, the first thing we like to do with our fellow gardeners is to ask them what exposures that they have that they're making the appointment for. And so we need to know that because of our intense, long, hot summers dictate that we use something that's Texas tough toward our heat.
And so also we'll take the cold plants then, aren't you?
Absolutely.
And
tried and
let
proven.
me put some words out. You take them back and say, no, I don't agree with you if you don't. I know you will. Say that if you don't agree. It's not so important that it's native, it's more important that it be adapted.
Absolutely.
If it's native, great, but it needs to be adapted.
Absolutely.
Not everything that's native to Texas is adapted in Rowlett or in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Okay, so that's responsible landscaping. Start with a well-adapted plant, get it off to a good start. I want to look at some things that you have on your own truck.
Sure.
Are you going home with these? It could happen.
Absolutely.
You never know. And I know that you have brought some new variations of old favorite plants. And we're going to talk about abelias first. Boy, talk about a tried and true heirloom plant, glossy abelia. Tell us about these three new ones.
Well, abelia, like you said, is an old-fashioned plant, one that's tried and proven in our area. This one is kaleidoscope abelia. Kaleidoscope abelia gets 2 to 3 feet tall and 2 to 3 feet wide, has a beautiful, bright yellow and green color throughout the spring and summer and into the fall, and then in the late fall it turns kind of an orangey reddish fall color throughout the entire winter. Very winter hardy plant. It'll actually even grow up in the southern part of Oklahoma.
Does it bloom well?
It blooms from May until November.
Just like the other
Has a long bloom time with a kind of a small white bell-shaped flower.
All right, this is Rose Creek?
Rose Creek.
Well, how is it different from glossy abelia?
It is exactly like as far as glossy abelia, it gets only 2 to 3 feet tall.
That's a big difference.
Yeah, glossy can get 6 to 8 feet tall. So it's a dwarf version of glossy, but it gets like the kaleidoscope. It gets 2 to 3 feet wide and 2 to 3 feet tall. It has a white flower that starts in May. It's a very heavy, continuous bloomer throughout the entire summer into the early part of the fall. So it's a long bloomer.
That's beautiful.
It is.
I bought this from you several weeks ago. I love this.
Twist of lime.
Tell us about it. It looks really dwarf.
Twist of lime actually gets a little bit taller than the other two. It can actually achieve 3 to 4 foot tall and wide. It has this great creamy yellowish white variegation in the foliage that's just very, very showy, very attractive. Great color contrast plant against some of your darker green hollies that we both love. And so it will take the full sun or it'll take partial shade, and that's true of all of these.
The thing that's nice about these is you don't have to have flower color from these plants because they're so colorful on their own.
Exactly.
But you also don't want to overdo it. You put a whole landscape of this in, it's going to be a little dazzling, isn't it?
Right. This is all about color contrast type plants.
Let's look at some other shrubs, and we'll come back to the ground covers here. Nandinas. The old heavenly bamboo nandina, that was out there when we started, Jim.
Absolutely.
These are variations. Tell us about this.
These nandinas, this is definitely not your grandpa's nandinas. These are a new age of nandinas. All of these nandinas, new growth is red throughout the spring, summer, and into the fall. And they all turn red in the wintertime. We'll start with pink blush. It's actually just a hybridized version of Nana Nandina. It gets the same size, 24 to 28 inches tall and wide, in a kind of a real round basketball. Gives you that color throughout the summer, though. There's the difference. And it doesn't sun scorch like the old-fashioned Nana Nandina. So it's a great addition that you can actually plant in more sun than you could the old Nana Nandina.
That's a big improvement.
It's a big improvement.
Nana had some problems.
Let's
go to Obsession now. This is beautiful. How tall does this grow?
Obsession is in the dwarf Nandina family, but it gets a little taller than Blush. It gets 3 to 4 feet tall and wide, and its new growth is also just a very crimson reddish color.
You know what's nice is the texture. Look how fine texture
it is. It is. It has that old bamboo-ish texture that we love that changes your textures in your landscape. It's so important. So it's a great addition, and unlike the old-fashioned Nandina domestica that starts to get a trunk at the bottom, it stays bushy from the ground up. So it's a great addition.
Prune it all the time.
That's exactly right.
Good thing. These are all brand new plants, folks, and you notice Southern Living Plant Collection, credit to them.
Absolutely.
They've introduced a lot of wonderful things.
Great addition.
Right, and you know how much I've loved Harbor Dwarf Nandina for all of my career. Little ground cover Nandina, I prefer it to the old Nana Nandina for ground cover.
Absolutely.
This is an improved form. Tell us about Flirt.
And I have those myself, by the way, too. Yeah. We have Harbor Bells. Flirt is a brand new addition to the Nandina family that stays 18 to 24 inches tall. It actually can have the berry set just like the Harbor Bells do. Its new growth is red throughout the spring, summer, and fall, so it keeps a nice low profile, kind of like a mounding ground cover almost, and gives you a great color contrast and texture change in your landscape as well. And it also turns a kind of a burgundy-ish color in the fall and winter months.
So everything you've brought us, Joe, is pretty much for sun or part sun. Take some shade on the variegated abelias. These are for shade, aren't they? These are
more shade lover.
I know you love this.
I love the black scallop. I've used it myself.
Turn it in the light so we can see it.
And it is just really a fat, big leaf that covers very quickly. It's not like the old ajugas. It covers very quickly. Has this burgundy foliage, stays just as beautiful in the dead of the winter. I don't care if it snows on it or whatever. It just takes it like a charm.
Now, the ajugas have to have shade. They need moisture. They have to have shade.
They absolutely do.
All right, and then lamiums. You have a couple of different lamiums there.
Right.
This is a silver beacon.
Right.
Aren't those pretty plants?
They
Turn
are.
them a little bit more here toward that's it. Oh,
they have a beautiful purple bloom. Great color contrast
I have
against
these at my home, and I love them.
Right. Great contrast against, say, your black scallop ajugas, or also against dwarf mondo grass. Just an excellent color contrast. Brightens up a dark, shady spot.
I love the lamiums. I have a lot of that at our home, and I am thrilled with it. Thanks for bringing those, Joe. That's a great one. Covington Nursery and Landscape in Rowlett. My friend Joe Covington, thank you.
Neil.
That's great. We have a lot more in store for you on today's program. Stay tuned.
On today's show, I'll be featuring two stone fruits that grow really well in Texas, peaches and plums. I'll show you how to make a quick and easy stone fruit compote, as well as a peach crumble with a little bit of twist.